Welcome to the Chinese American Museum of Chicago. I don't know if you can see me because this thing is taller than I am. But like I said, my name is Mabel Menard. I am the executive director here, and I'd love to welcome you all here. Some of you I haven't seen before, so if this is your first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. We have a very exciting program. As you can see, we have Chinese music melded with jazz, which doesn't happen very often. Before we begin, I would like to introduce our president, Sulan Moy, to say a few words.
Thank you, Mabel. And I would like to welcome all of you to our museum. How many of you have been here before? Oh, wonderful. I see a lot of new and old friends who are wonderful supporters. Please make yourself comfortable in coming back and visit us because we do have different exhibitions. So this is really a wonderful opportunity for us to partner with Jazz Philharmonic. Yeah, it's a mouthful. So we're very excited about this, especially at this time talking about immigrants. We are a nation of immigrants for the United States, and we need to be very proud of that fact because United States was built by this blood, sweat, and tear of all immigrants. Okay, so as all of our musicians here, they are also immigrants and showcasing the Chinese music along with jazz. I can't wait to hear their jamming session. I'm very excited about this. Okay, welcome again.
Thank you, Sulan. And now I'd like to introduce Bertie Sodi. She is the executive director for the Chicago Jazz Philharmonic.
Thank you so much all for coming out tonight. Yes, likewise, I really enjoy seeing some familiar faces, but mostly new faces, hopefully to the Chinatown American Museum as well as to Chicago Jazz Philharmonic. So thank you. And thank you so much to Mabel and Sulan. We just met literally the day before Christmas about putting this event on together. And they jumped right in and partnered with us on it really quickly. So thank you. And likewise, this is a project that, we conceived of last year when at that time we had a completely different artistic plan and a season plan for this year that was going to be full of all these great blockbusters and featured guests. And, at this time last year, we thought, we've got to change up our plan a little bit. And thankfully, we're a small enough organization that we were able to kind of turn that around pretty quickly and put a series such as Chicago Immigrant Stories together. And this is the first of the series. So what you guys are going to experience tonight, this is, I think, beyond our expectations of how this would turn out. So we're really excited to present it to you. Just quickly, I wanted to just acknowledge a few of our supporters and sponsors for tonight's event, the Chicago Community Trust, as well as the Karis Foundation, in addition to the Chinese American Museum. Thank you. And as well, we're really excited because the event sold out pretty quickly. That we have CAN TV on live here tonight, taping the show for live stream as well as for broadcast that will broadcast later on CAN TV channel 27. But for any of your friends that weren't able to make it tonight, you can tell them to log on to cantv.org and they can watch the event on live stream. So very exciting. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our artistic director and co-founder, Orbert Davis, who will give you a little bit more background on this great project, Chicago Immigrant Stories, Chinatown. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome. Wow, it's such an honor to be here tonight. I was asked earlier, so exactly what are you guys gonna do? I don't know. We sort of have a framework, but tonight we invite you into the process. Not necessarily the product. We're going to get there, but this is the process. And we didn't have a rehearsal, did we? No, we had a meeting a few days ago, and we know that the concept works. A year ago, if you see in your program on the second page, exactly a year ago, Howard Levy and I had a conversation about the role of artists in our troubled times. That's all I'm going to say. And as you heard, we are all immigrants from somewhere, but we're all Chicagoans. So we're going to celebrate that fact starting tonight. And it will culminate this summer in June, the 14th, I believe, at Millennium Park with the 60-piece Chicago Jazz Philharmonic with our friends and other friends, 2 other communities that we're visiting between now and April. But we'll talk about that a little more. But to get things warmed up, I'd like to play a composition by Clifford Brown. It's called, actually, Sonny Rollins. This is called Pin Up House. you. So the idea is simple. As I said before, we're all Chicagoans. We come from different places. But what happens in the music process when two things that are different come together? And I know some of you are thinking like an old commercial. Was it the Reese's peanut butter cup? You know, the chocolate and, you know, the chocolate in my peanut butter. And that's kind of a great analogy because two things that are different coming together create something new. And that's really what Chicago Jazz Philharmonic is all about, taking classical and jazz and creating a brand new genre in the process. But what we've learned in our history is that things happen. It's not just about the music itself. Matter of fact, we discovered that change happens. Change in lives, change in community, change in the creative practice, and change in the dialogue. And that's exactly what we hope that you will witness during this. And I almost want to call it an experiment, but it really is an experiment because we're dealing with people, not lab mice. So that's supposed to be funny, I'm sorry. I'm on Can TV and I'm bombing at my jokes. And Can't TV, I know. So we met Kerry at a series of meetings, and when he first came to our office, the first thing he said was, "I don't improvise jazz." But you don't have to. So the idea is that, first of all, we want to feature Minghua, and and forgive me for the pronunciation of your names. I mean, I've practiced this all night long. And Guang Long and Kerry, just so you can hear who they are through their instruments.
Okay, here we go. We're going to play 3 pieces of Chinese folk music for you. The first piece is called the Jasmine Flower, 茉莉花. Thank you so much. Our second piece is called Melody of the Purple Bamboo. It's a piece of music from the Shanghai area in China. Thank you. Our third piece is called Melody of the Surfer. Now the guzhang need to adjust the keys a little bit. Yes. We'll talk about instrument. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's talk a little bit about the instrument. As we have 3 instruments right here. We talk about pipa first. You guys see a pipa? A solid piece of wood in the back. Historically, the pipa was earlier than the Han Dynasty. That is more than 1800 years away from now. So look at this pipa. Not this one that old. Not this one, but historically the pipa it is. However, in the old time, the pipa like a baby size, only that big. Okay? When time goes on and on with lots of influence from the Western, the people are growing up. And now the people are be able to play the scale like guitar. See that? But the old time, they were strictly pentatonic scale. All right, so as the people is. Now the people not only could play the very easy music like a it's very soft and also like a soldier in march. So it's a totally different kind of music. So the pipa, that's the pipa it is. Manhua, can you talk a little about the guzhang?
Hello, everyone. This instrument is called guzheng, also Chinese zither. And the history of Chinese zither has about 2,000 years. It came from spring and autumn period. And at first, the guzheng is not as what it like now. At first, it only have 5 strings, and after that, it becomes 7 string, and then 13 string, just like Japanese koto and gayagam in Korean. And after 13 string, it becomes 7 string, and then 18 string, and now today it become 21 strings. And there are 4 octaves for guzheng. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the guzheng scale is a pentatonic scale. Do, re, mi, so, la, do, re, mi, so, la. Re, mi, so, la. And then do, re, mi, so, la. And then do, re, mi, so, la. Then do, re, mi, so, la. And that doesn't mean it doesn't have fine xi. And fine xi you press with your left hand. Because in Chinese philosophy, Chinese musicians believe that pentatonic scale can give you peace and the inner peace for your mind. And so we try to avoid fine xi in Chinese traditional music. But that doesn't mean Chinese traditional music doesn't have fine xi. We really have fine xi, but it's only a small part of the music, not as Western music, so many fine xi. And the skill for this instrument is like a right hand scale, the traditional scale. Only use this 3 finger, but and the traditional scale also for left hand is press. And use right hand play and the left hand to press, but the contemporary skill is the most difficult, like the right hand like this. like finger rotate and like some rotate of finger movement. Like this. And also like this one. Because the 古筝 sound is not the continuous sound, so this contemporary skill make the sound become a line, not a spot. And some contemporary skill for left hand is from piano. And also some from harp. And for the most charming part of this instrument, I think, is it very easy to imitate the sound from the nature, like the water. It's like the flowing water, and some of like the typhoon sound. Like the tornado, like typhoon. And some can even imitate the birdie singing, like like the birdie singing. And now the 古筝 piece develop very fast. In China, it has the most population to learn this instrument, more people than other Chinese traditional music, because it's easy to begin, and even you don't know how to play, even you play whatever you like, it sounds very nice. Thank you.
Okay, the erhu, means two strings instrument. The hu, this word is from Mongolia. So one minority group in the north of China. That time they play this kind of instrument. Somebody said maybe they are ride the horse, then they ride the horse, then play. That's why the bow is inside. Even you get something, you still cannot lose your, And this bow is very similar to the Western violin. We use the horse tail. Use the, see the one? But other side, we use bamboo. Just like, because we, in China, a lot of bamboo. So bamboo and the horse tail become the bow. And two strings is D and A, just like middle string of violin. Violin is G, D, A, C, but and D, A. So in other words, the pitch is sometimes very limited because only two strings. The bridge is pretty small. You can see the violin bridge is very big, but here is very tiny, tiny bridge. So this kind of instrument, somebody said maybe over 1,000 years, but my instrument is 40 years old. This one followed me for many years. Yeah, I played this one for a lot of places, over 20 provinces in China. And this one, when I was a child, this kind of instrument not like on the stage. A lot of people use this instrument in the park, on the street, not officially for the perform, but these years, maybe 13, 14 years, developed very fast, becomes a very official instrument. Also, a lot of people try to learn this one they feel they have some very high standards, some moral, something like that. And some parents let them in China force their children to learn. Some people they like it, but some children they don't like it, but they forced by children, by the parents. Yeah. Some people try to do something innovation for this instrument because the two strings are sometimes very limited. They try to do something more to change the shape. And finally, after 40 years, the shape has still keep the original. You cannot change it. If you change it, maybe it's another instrument, not this one. So I love it. I played since I was 10 years old. I'm very happy today I get together with you together. Yeah.
Thank you. And not a note has been written yet for the final piece. I just have to know that now. And the idea is that we are organically putting all this together. But as I learned about the instruments, the first thing I'm hearing is sort of free jazz. So I think it's time to kind of experiment a bit. Let's go to B minor pentatonic, and I'll be the composer conductor, and we'll see what we have here.
the ancient Chinese instruments I'm playing? It is. No, for real. The ancestor of the harmonica is the Chinese wind instrument called the sheng, which is an indirectly blown instrument with bamboo and metal reeds inside, separate tubes. I should have brought mine. I have a bunch of them at home. And nobody exactly knows if the harmonica was inspired by Western contact with China, but the fact is that the Chinese had this instrument for at least 1,000 years before the harmonica was invented. And the harmonica is an extremely popular instrument in Asia for several reasons. One is it's a familiar sound, because it sounds a lot like their instruments, but also that it's so portable, and it's also extremely cheap compared to most instruments. And there are many, many harmonicas made in China, in factories around Shanghai, because the Germans had been in China since the mid-19th century, and they brought the harmonica to China. It was invented in Germany in the 1820s, and it became mass manufactured in the 1870s, I believe, in Germany. So it started getting very cheap and started going all over the world. And I have played harmonica at many festivals and concerts in Asia. And the last one I played was in Taiwan, in Taipei, and there were over 3,000 harmonica players there from all over Asia.
At the same time.
At the same time. I think it's a zoning ordinance violation. And they had contests, and there were these little kids playing concertos on the chromatic harmonica, and they also play a lot of tremolo harp. Some of you Chinese people know the tremolo harp. I should have brought these instruments, but next time. But the harmonica is extremely popular all over Asia, in Korea, in China, in Malaysia, Indonesia, every place. And I feel very at home playing when I am in Asia. I played my concerto in Seoul several years ago as part of the Seoul International Harmonica Festival too, with an orchestra of great Korean classical musicians. So playing Chinese music on this instrument is very easy. There's one big reason. Chinese music is really bluesy. In case you didn't notice, all those bent notes, it's really bluesy. I mean, it's the same. Chinese instrument, right? I mean, it's you know. So one of the main things in common between Chinese music and American music is the pentatonic scale, which is, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, let's do something. I'm stuck on that blues, because again, I'm composing. I have a recorder going right now, and you will be amazed at, when you come to Millennium Park in June, how much of this you'll hear again with the orchestra. So when I hear something, I have to break in and kind of, let's experiment with that. Let's do something with the blues. Howard, you play, and then we'll just go around and everyone kind of like trade ideas and see where it goes. And then we'll play your piece.
Okay. So I guess we'll stick to, well, the thing about the pentatonic scale is that there's several modes of it. It's just 5 notes, right? So, in the major scale, it's like you said, do, re, mi, sol, la. Yeah, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la. Yeah, I'm not a solfege person. But if you started on the 6th note, on la, that's where it starts sounding like the blues. It's the same notes, but you're just centering it in a different place. And then also American bluegrass music has a lot of this. There's a song called Foggy Mountain Breakdown. It could be a Chinese piece. It sounds Chinese. It's the same notes. The pentatonic scale consists of the first 5/5 of the circle of fifths folded into itself. And if you add another 5th, you get this one, which is dissonant with the tonic. And so, as you were saying, the pentatonic scale has no dissonance in it, and you can find peace of mind just playing these notes. And but in the West, we don't like peace of mind. We like conflict. And so in the blues, the note that's the most identified with the blues is the flatted fifth. So that's like the blues note. And you can do that on any of these instruments. Yeah, see, there it is. Yeah. I mean, so it's bluesy without that note, but it's even bluesier with that note. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up since this is a public forum. So, what are we supposed to do? Play some blues?
we're going to play a piece of music, Chinese folk music, Journey in Gushu City, Gushu Xing. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Awesome. Wow. So this is the first in a series of three communities that we are collaborating with. I don't know, Bertie, if I should go into details about the others. Let it be a surprise. Everyone just kind of, as you found out about this one, you'll find out about the other. But we're excited about combining the three communities in a piece that Howard and I will write in April. I figure if we write it in April, in May we'll get it copied, get the parts out to the orchestra, we'll have it together for performance in June. But what's exciting about this process is when we meet, we're strangers. We are. And we sat in a circle just a week ago and we shared our immigrant stories. You know, I'm actually the only one born in Chicago out of this whole group. Ernie's an immigrant from Milwaukee. Ernie Adams on drums. And Stuart Miller is an immigrant from Lexington? That's right. Lexington, Kentucky. I'm a real foreigner. He's a real foreigner. Stuart Miller on bass. And it is amazing because it's a little bit a nervous situation to be in a circle of strangers and just simply talk. But it was so obvious that in 3 hours later, we had become friends. And through this process, I imagine that we're even going to become better friends. That's the power of the arts. That's the power of music. And my mentor years ago told me, he said something to me and I thought he was crazy. The composer Bill Russo told me that jazz will save music. I was like, what are you talking about? Jazz will save music. And it's actually the components of jazz. It's the aspect of becoming family, of taking risks, of leadership, of following, of listening, of communicating. And we find all that. And I hope you enjoyed that tonight. We have one more jam we want to play because we know that one of the communities that we want to target is West Africa, a West African country, and because we want to include the drum element in our final piece at Millennium Park and this experience. So the other day we were talking about the aspects of transposing modes in the pentatonic scale. I mean, how many of you talk about that every day, don't you? The transposing modes in a pentatonic scale. So Howard, how did we get there?
Yeah, well, if you have 5 notes, you can have 5 modes of that scale. A mode is just starting at a different point in the scale. So if you have, that would be the first mode of the pentatonic scale. If you start on the second note, it would be the second mode. Are there Chinese songs in that using that as the pitch? There's also the most popular scale in some countries in West Africa, like Mali and maybe Mauritania as well. And so I'll get back to that in a second. So then the third mode would be, which doesn't really sound like its own thing, because it sounds like you're just playing this one starting on the third note. But the next mode is, that doesn't sound like its own thing either. That sounds more like D major. And then the next mode is that minor pentatonic. And especially fusion music that started in the 70s, a lot of guys were playing really fast. Like that was the lick. How fast can you play that minor pentatonic scale? And also bluegrass uses that. But this mode, this is the one that Orbert wanted us to do it, because I remember this bass line I heard on an old recording made in Africa in the 1930s, and it was a really cool bass line that was in that second mode of the pentatonic scale. It goes, we're all going to play along.
Thank